What is up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Sports Report podcast. As always, I am your host, Ian Pfaffenberger, staff writer for the North Texas Daily. Today, we're back with an episode of another three people, but I got two new people here today with me, not from the North Texas Daily. We're branching out a little bit today. To my direct left is one of my friends, Luis Flores, football fanatic. He loves UNT football. Yeah, Luis, say hi.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I just attend the school, and I've been keeping up with UNT football since freshman year, so last year. I really got introduced when my uncle, he used to play for the team. He's actually on one of the pillars. Brandon Jackson, go look for him.
That has to be capped. There's no way.
Nah, go look.
Are you for real?
That's
We just
actually
started.
kinda
I'm already
fire.
learning
I did
stuff
not
about
know
Luis.
My aunt, she married him like 2020, I think. So, and then he
He
was a
played here?
wide receiver.
I didn't even know that. Okay, we have
He was
a
a wide
UNT
receiver.
alumni family member. That's a better title
That
for
is
you.
fire.
All right, yeah, and we got Luis here, and then we got Rayaan Razi over there at the end. He's the technical director for Mean Green Sports Productions. He's up in the booth operating the video board at all of the football games, so he gets a VIP seat to watch in all the games.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Appreciate the introduction right there. You know, I don't know how I'm going to one-up Luis on that, but yeah, I'm a technical director for Mean Green Productions. Been there since last year, and I operate the video board for all the football games and work for a lot of the soccer as well as softball games and basketball season as well, doing technical directing stuff. So I get a pretty good view of everything, all the camera angles, and you know, I've seen quite a bit of stuff over the past couple of years about, you know, UNT and all of its sports. So I'm really excited to talk about that today.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting episode. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of exciting. We're going to be talking about UNT football again for majority of this episode. Unfortunately, they had that heartbreaking loss against USF. Then we'll get into soccer. Their season is kind of wrapping up, so kind of an important time for them. And then we'll touch on volleyball and men's golf, I believe, again at the end. But yeah, we'll get into football for most of this episode. Of course, had that loss to USF. Me and Luis were in the stands with each other. Ray, of course, in the technical booth. There's kind of a lot of things to talk about on that, but let's start on a positive note, the fan attendance. Sold out crowd, 31,386. First sellout in DECU Stadium history, and it was loud. Me and Luis were in the student section, and bro, it was loud. I mean, how was that experience for you?
I know I had my Apple Watch going off most of the time, you know, the sound decibel. But no, it was so much fun. Just the atmosphere I saw, just people were actually like getting excited for the first time instead of just sitting down. You know, I saw people.
We were standing up the entire game.
For
My
sure.
feet hurt so bad afterwards.
It was so worth it though until the second half. But you know, we'll talk about that later.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, the fan attendance, it was just, man, that was something else. I never thought I would see that. I thought that was like a power school, like you had to go to UT or TCU, SMU, just different schools, not here. But just seeing that for the first time in history, something else.
That was cool.
No, absolutely. That's so fun to see and everything, you know. I always get that message on my phone that says, pack the DAT, you know, let's get it filled up. But I have never seen that place filled up ever before until Saturday, you know. Everybody came out, and I'm so glad it was a blackout game, too, because, man, the vibes over there looked amazing. It was, you know, completely blacked out. Everybody definitely did their part by wearing black. A little bit of feeling of missing out by not being in the stands with you guys.
That was the one time I feel like being a technical director sucks, because then you're
Honestly.
not in the student
You know,
section.
I usually get that bird's eye view, see everything from the stadium, get that field view, as well as all the camera angles. But this time it's like, man, I wish I was down there cheering with you guys, you know, just enjoying the game. But it was something else. It was a great experience regardless, honestly.
Yeah, that student section was low-key a little nuts, because the student section is on the opposing sideline, so they're directly behind USF for that game.
Yelling
And
right into their ears.
The profanities were flying that game. There's a lot of crap being talked, especially from the people who were a couple beers deep that night. But it was electric. That was probably the most fun like football environment I've been a part of. I've been to big Power 4 schools, but a lot of them have been away games where like I'm not the home team, and I'm a UCLA fan. So when I go to UCLA home games, there's no one there. So that was about the most fun I've had at a football game. I lost my voice in like the first quarter when I think after that first turnover I blew it out. Yeah, absolutely fun, absolutely electric. Luis, yeah.
I had that little noisemaker thing that you just blow in.
Oh yeah,
I
you had the little
that.
horn.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, that was really funny.
That was a great purchase. I'll probably bring it back this week actually.
Right, against UTSA. Yeah. And Ray, you got us on the video board, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I had to talk to my people, pull some strings. I was like, hey, look for that curly-haired guy right there in the middle. Oh, shoot, that's Ian. Found him right there. All right, ready, one, take one, let's go. Get him onto the screen. Every one of them are just yelling. Our whole friend group's going crazy. Faded it right back into the game, and it was electric at the beginning. My goodness, it was fun.
That was absolutely fun. Yeah, good time for the students, like Luis said, until that second half. The game, unfortunately, got a little bit out of hand, as all of you probably know who are watching. UNT started off strong. We were up by a touchdown multiple times. They're up like 7-0 and then 14-7 and then 21-14. Multiple chances to go up by 2 scores. Unfortunately, couldn't really capitalize on that, and then had that muff punt by Miles Coleman with about a minute left in the first quarter or the second quarter, which would have set us up in good position to at least get a field goal and go into half up with 2 scores. But then USF got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and I think that was the momentum changer for the entire game. I saw that happen. I was like, I think that might do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that along with the UNT second half team, they look nothing like the first half. It's just, I mean, you've seen it time and time again, just basically every game except for Lamar. It's like the energy is just gone. They just start fatiguing really fast, and energy change, the momentum change. Fans were still going, but at the end of the day, it's up to the
Where
players.
were they going? I wanted to sit down at that point, but people fouled in behind us. I was like, oh, I can't. And then all the injuries were happening. There was like 5 injuries in a
Yes.
quarter.
No, definitely.
And then like we all just sat down in like progressions of like 2 minutes. It was really funny.
The first half went by really fast, in my opinion. As far as how UNT was playing, they were playing really electric. It was good football. It was entertaining throughout. I think the defense definitely needed to pick it up for the most part. Going into the half being a tied game, it's just like the beginning, just another half. You got to go in with that fresh mentality, fresh start mentality, of course. But it just kind of sucks whenever that momentum's killed by that fumble, really the other play calls that were really going against us. Because of those things, it just killed momentum, and USF just never looked back once they got that lead.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about it before the podcast. That's kind of been a trend of UNT's defense at the start of the year. They've been playing well, no doubt about it. They're great, forcing all those turnovers, but those turnovers a lot of them come in the first quarter, come earlier in the game. The defense comes out strong. They attack the offense. They get to them really fast, but then as the game goes on, they have a tendency to get worn down. We saw it against Army when we were up 21-0 and then ended up going into overtime. Army came back and tied it up 38-38 to end the game. Saw it this game against South Florida. We saw it a little bit against South Alabama. So there is kind of some fatigue problems with the defense as the game starts to go on. Hopefully something they can address. But overall, I guess just as a team, the box score I feel like doesn't reflect how good. What am I trying to say? UNT didn't play as bad as the box score was saying.
No,
I feel
absolutely.
Because Coach Morris was talking about this on Tuesday. I mean, Drew Messmaker obviously threw 3 interceptions. A little disappointing after he had 0 the entire year. But he still didn't play awful. Like, outside of those 3 interceptions, he made good reads. He made good throws. He had good plays going on. The defense, for the most part, they just kind of got screwed with some bad field position after those turnovers. And in a lot of the stats, South Florida isn't like demolishing us in a lot of these stats. We're leading in some of them. Let me see. Yeah, Drew Messmaker led in passing yards. We had the highest game high for receiver. Miles Coleman had 101 yards. Total yards wise, we were down by 100. Around the similar amount of first downs, similar amount of penalties. We had more third down conversions, more fourth down conversions, and we had a longer time of possession by a minute. So by no means was it really a statistical blowout by USF. It was just a victim of circumstance for UNT. Those turnovers were kind of crucial, and the muff punt, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I think those obviously turnovers are going to lose you a game, and having 5 of them hurts. But the ones that put South Florida in such a good position to score definitely hurt us. Louis taking a sip of his Chick-fil-A, so I'm trying to give him some time.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day,
We're not sponsored by Chick-fil-A. Don't sue me,
we are
please.
not. Mess around. But I mean, at the end of the day, USF is I mean, their only losses to number 2 Miami.
Yeah.
Who I think
Oh, yeah.
will make the championship, maybe even win it.
Yeah.
Win it all.
They're going
I
far
think
for
that's
sure.
an underrated aspect of this game. People have been really quick. The people who really only look at box scores and think they know everything about football, they'll look at it and be like, "Oh, UNT is a fraud." Da 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 da. And we were kind of talking last week about you don't really know the identity of this UNT team because they've had a cupcake schedule. I feel like we still don't because South Florida, what they just proved is they are like Power 4 good this year.
Yes.
Like they are
Mhm.
an incredibly good team. Every win they've had has basically been a blowout.
No,
They-
for sure, yeah.
And besides Florida, but they took on Florida in the swamp, but Florida just beat UT, who just beat Oklahoma. College football is crazy right now. I don't know who's good and
Absolutely.
who's not. It's been absolutely crazy. But USF, what I do know is they are really freaking good. Byron Brown is crazy. Their defense is great. Their running game is magnificent. So, again, box score looks bad, but USF is just a really good team. I feel like this is kind of an equivalent of if UNT played any ranked Power 4 school also, because that's how good USF is this year.
For sure. You know what? Sorry about that. What contributed to USF being so dominant in that game was definitely their run. You know, the run game was amazing, especially by the quarterback. I don't know how he was doing it, but it was just like every single opportunity that he could get, he was just running all over us, you know. And just because of that, it made the run defense look bad. Third downs were not great for the UNT for the most part, and they were just converting time and time again, wearing us down to the point where we got to where we were. And although I don't mean to discredit the defense by allowing as many points as they did, it was definitely, as Ian says, not reflected by the box score, by how the game went, especially due to the fact that turnovers on the offense, you know, even though Drew Messmaker's been having a great season, you know, 0 interceptions up to that point, but, you know, he's turning the ball over a little bit. We had that fumble loss, that return that they had. The defense has to just keep coming out and out and out. That's going to wear him down. Conditioning right there, man. It's real tiring for him. So I don't blame him for, like, what happened in that second half. The tackling as well. They started just handing it off to the running back, but we just could not tackle that man down in the fourth quarter. I had to sit through the whole entire game. Sorry about that.
No. Keep going, bro. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. In the fourth quarter, you know, as the stands were like emptying out for the most part, I just stayed there and still watched the entirety of the game. But you could just tell how tired our players were. It would take like 3-4 people every single attempt to take running back down.
I mean, that's basically the identity of the USF team, too. Like Byron Brown, like you said, RG3 named him as one of his Heisman candidates back in September. He leads the team in passing and rushing. He had 21 carries for 82 yards. That's basically what their offense revolves around. They run a lot of RPOs. They do a lot of kind of design quarterback run type things, almost like a hybrid Army type thing, except they pass the ball too. So Byron Brown, he's just an athlete. He's a big dude. He breaks tackles. He'll wear you down, and that's definitely what they did to the defense.
Definitely was able to see that last game for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, their offense is just ever since I lost to Miami, they haven't not scored 50-plus points on a team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
just nuts.
insane.
Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're playing all D1 rosters. These people have worked hard to be where they're at. So the fact that they are able to put up 50-plus points on the past 3 teams that they played really says something about the team. I really do think that they will win out and be the G5 representative in the college football playoffs.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Definitely. However, I do still see a lot of hope for this UNT team in the fact that I think they still have that chance to get up there. Despite the loss, and even though it was a big loss, at the same time, this is a really good loss in a way. You know, it's a ranked team. They've consistently proven time and time again, you know, like how good they are. The only loss that they had again is to the number 2 team in the country at the moment, right? And because of that, I feel like UNT schedule, even though they do play, you know, people have considered it to be a weaker schedule for the most part. I still think that doesn't really go to show how good their schedule is. You know, they have to play some good teams, including next week against UTSA, which I think will be an important game for the most part.
Yeah, we'll get into that UTSA game and just the overall scheduling and getting into the playoffs. This is the playoff bonanza episode after all. But because as I was mentioning earlier, it's just still hard to get a gauge on the UNC team because of the discrepancy. That's the word. Yeah, and
That's a good way to
opponents
put
they
it.
played discrepancy. I mean, we played Lamar, we played Lamar and blew them out.
Absolutely.
Expected to happen. And then you play Western Michigan on the road and then barely win. It's like, okay, that's a little worrying. And then you blow out Washington State. It's like, oh, we're great. That's
we're
awesome.
great.
Yes.
And then you let Army come back on you in that game. It's like, ooh, that's a little nerve-wracking. But we came out on top. It's usually something that doesn't happen for UNT. So it's like, okay, that's
Absolutely.
still good positives. Then we kind of have a mid-game against South Alabama, but still win. South Alabama, bad record, but they played good teams. They played Auburn. They played Tulane this year.
Absolutely.
And then obviously taking on South Florida, who was one of the best teams in the country, just down and out. I mean, they're really good. And then, you know, get blown out. Unfortunate. So it's just still, I mean, which is crazy. How many weeks are we in the season? 6, 7?
This is the 7th week.
We're sorry.
We're coming on the 8th week now. We had a bye week for week 6. So.
Yeah, 8 weeks into the season, and you still can't really clearly define where UNT kind of ranks in the power rankings.
Exactly.
Like it's just super hard to get a gauge on it. But this upcoming game against UTSA, we might. UTSA is coming. This is a homecoming week for UNT. Have you been doing any homecoming stuff around campus?
Looking forward to the bonfire for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, it's happening later in the week, to be honest. So had a great time over there last year, and so this year I know it's going to be a good time too. And UNT always be having fun on homecoming, so it's going to be a good week.
I went to they had the picnic on Monday, and I had some.
Oh, they did.
Like the chicken sandwich thing. That was pretty good.
And
But yeah, homecoming week this week. UTSA currently sits at 3-3, I believe. Their record also, once again, doesn't really reflect kind of how they are as a team. They just, excuse me, they're coming off a blowout win against Rice. They beat them 61-13. So absolutely dominant. Rice isn't the strongest team, of course, but UTSA is riding a wave of momentum right now. And of course, they have Robert Henry Jr., who UNT is all too familiar with. He played UNT last year in the game that we lost against UTSA, ran for over 160 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He's just one of the best running backs in the country, and just plain and simple. He's 4th nationally in rushing yards, 5th in rushing touchdowns, and kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, the UNT defense gets worn down by the rushing attack. He's going to be the X factor for that UTSA game. Definitely something the defense is going to have to look out for.
Yeah, and I mean, if I was UNT, just conditioning is the key
For
word.
sure.
Middle of the season, get that conditioning in. Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, really good running game. They have the O-line to back him up as well. You know, he could just run through our defense and wear them down first half, and then second half comes. It's the same story as Army and South Alabama and basically every game.
And they just had, in that Rice game, their backup running back, Will Henderson, had 115 yards on 5 carries.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just Robert Henry either. They have a running back tandem who will put you into the ground. They will
For sure.
They will run the football like crazy. And Owen McCown, their quarterback, is really experienced. Morris was talking about that yesterday. He's experienced. He'll make plays with his legs too. So kind of once again, it's going to be on this defense to contain the opposing offense, get those early turnovers to allow the UNT offense, who has benefited from those early game turnovers in the good field position, to be able to score. And the UTSA game, I was kind of mentioning last week, if UNT loses this USF game, I feel like it's going to take another decade to get the fan attendance back to where it was. But but it actually is looking good. Like they're actually blowing my expectations. Like Luis was telling me, we have sold more. This was like a couple days ago. We sold more student tickets through 5 days out from the game against UTSA than we did against USF. We had like 80 more student tickets sold. So people are actually going to come out, and it's probably because it's homecoming week. UTSA is an in-state rival. We haven't beaten them in 4 years. Team's good. A lot of factors, but just the way the UNT sports culture is, I feel like a loss and a bad loss like that would just the stadium would not be filled for another 10 years. But it's good to see.
You know, honestly, to be honest, like I was really hoping, back to the USF game for a second, if we came away with that win, I think UNT is a football school for sure. That is what I'm calling the school forever, you know. But you know, whatever happened, happened. However, this is also a very important game against UTSA in the fact that they are coming off of a pretty major win against Rice. And if you look at the rest of their schedule, they have had a couple of losses here and there. However, they are against some pretty dominant teams, in my opinion. You know, Temple, that lost, pretty close game for the most part, had a narrow victory over Colorado State. And then also just a 1 touchdown away from a victory for them against Texas State as well. And so going into this game, I don't think the record for them reflects exactly how they're playing. And if the USF team also, or sorry, not USF, excuse me. You know, in the USF game, it was the run game that really got us. UTSA also has a really dominant run game. If they just run all over us again, it might be something to worry about. But if this team's defense can manage to fix that up, then I think we got this in the bag.
Yeah, theoretically, I mean, like, if you asked me a week ago before the USF game, are we going to beat UTSA? I'd be like, easily, definitely. And just going off of their schedule and kind of how the matchups pan, I was like, oh, they play a bad schedule too, and they're losing to some of these teams. I mean, they barely beat Colorado State. What the heck is this? And they lost to Temple. I mean, what the heck is that? But Temple just almost beat Navy, who Navy's still undefeated, but Navy is now 6-0, 7-0. I think they're 7-0, and they almost beat Navy. So that Temple loss looks a lot better for UTSA now. And of course, like me and Ray were talking about, they just absolutely demolished Rice. Yeah, that fact being coupled with UNT is coming off a bad loss, and coupling with the fact that UNT hasn't beaten UTSA in 4 years, and they seem to have our number, it kind of scares me that this game might be a trap game, guys. It kind of scares me slightly. And with the fact Robert Henry is on their team, it's just, I don't know. I have an uneasy feeling. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't really know what to expect for the most part for this team. You know, we've seen how dominant we were in the first 5 games. It was like great win after great win after great win, even though some of them were close. You know, but having just one loss, sometimes it just gives you that uneasy feeling. Like, again, you know, you don't feel on top of the world anymore. You know, a little bit humbling coming from that loss right there. And so this is a pretty statement game for the most part. You know, regardless of the outcome of this game, you know, something big is going to occur for sure. And that's something that I can definitely take away from that.
Absolutely. But I think what I believe, this game will definitely be a shootout, like almost all of UNC's games. I think UNT does have the better passing offense. Maybe the run game is also really good. Actually, I can't
Mhm.
believe
Caleb Hawkins and
yes,
Mackenzie McGill. Yep.
they are just amazing, especially for freshmen. I mean,
Oh, they're freshmen. Wow.
Caleb Hawkins is
yeah.
a freshman.
he's
Okay.
Mackenzie McGill is a sophomore. I
Mhm.
think.
Oh, I thought
Caleb
he
Hawkins
was
is
a
younger than
freshman
us, bro. Like we're unks
What are we
now.
doing?
We're unks now. I think he's like 18. It's
But
crazy.
I mean, we have the tools on offense to win out the game. But I do see it being very close game. Maybe throw it into overtime.
Mm.
But
Wow.
I do think
Hey, you know what,
UNC
Luis? Let me get your prediction. What do you think the score is going to be? Who's going to come out on top?
I think it'll be a high scoring game. I think UNT will come out on top in overtime.
Okay.
Maybe like with the Army game, just
I like that.
the defense just not doing what they're supposed to do, and UNT capitalizing off of that. But I think the final score, I want to say somewhere between the 30s and 40s. So,
Okay.
That's fairly fair,
high scoring
yeah.
game. I mean, all of UNT's games have been high scoring for ever since Eric Morris has really been coach. Until they play like a really good defense. Like last year,
Like Texas Tech.
yeah, Army, Texas
Oh
Tech.
man, let's not talk about that Texas Tech game.
That
Holy
was,
cow!
oof.
And then Ray, what about you? What do you think this game might be?
Yeah, honestly, I totally agree with Luis right there. It's going to be a shootout for sure. It's just going to be both offenses going crazy. You know, as much as I have been talking about the defense for the most part, UNT's offense is still really freaking good. You know, our run game has been good for the most part, but I love how Drew Mestemaker is really able to distribute the ball like evenly. We don't have like a really solidified number one target as a receiver. You know, if you look at the target shares for the most part, it's been evenly distributed. So that's kind of a really good strength for us as a team for the most part. The offense, you know,
It's been 20-something games where a 20-something game streak where 8 different receivers have caught a ball in the game. That's just
Exactly.
the identity of the Eric Morris offense.
and that in itself is something dangerous for a lot of other defenses to worry about. You don't know who's getting the ball that game and how good they're going to be doing. You know, it's pretty consistent throughout, and I do like how even that team is for the offense. I hope Drew Mestemaker does make a comeback compared to that, 3 interception game from the previous run and go back to how he has been going. You know, future Heisman winner, in my opinion, for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's get the
absolutely.
rally started right now. Oh yeah.
First to say it on this podcast, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's what Coach Moore's talking about too. Like he says, not Morris. Mestemaker's like a sponge. Like he'll just absorb everything. He won't let anything really get to him. And they're even talking about on the sidelines of the USF game, even after he threw those interceptions, he wasn't really rattled. Like he he acknowledges he made the mistake, and they'll go out and adjust it. So I'd be expecting a bounce back game from him. But
sure.
on the
Absolutely.
topic of those receivers. Found out there were a lot of injuries that USF game. It seems like a guy was going down the second half every like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
But UNT suffered some injuries. Zaylen Scott, defensive lineman, is going to continue to be out. And then 3 of their starting wide receivers in Miles Coleman, Wyatt Young, and Cameron Dorner are all questionable. They all got banged up in that USF game. So that's another reason why I'm a little uneasy. Miles Coleman, obviously the leading receiver, had 101 yards last game against South Florida. Wyatt Young has been solid. He got that Wildcat touchdown in the last game against USF. And then Cameron Dorner, I think he was the highest graded PFF offensive player for us in that USF game too. He had a couple big catches. So all 3 of those receivers are kind of vital to the heart of the offense. And all 3 of them being questionable was also a little concerning, I'm not going to lie.
It is a little concerning, but I mean, at the end of the day, we could always rely on our run game. You know, we got 2 amazing running backs in the O-line to just give them that gap. I mean, they've been pulling off big plays all season. And then we still have some amazing wide receivers, like one, for example, Landon Sides. You know, he born in Denton raised, and he's just been popping off in Denton as well. So he's always a good wide receiver to go to, always reliable.
NCAA 25 legend. He had like
course.
1,900 yards for me in like last year when I was playing that. Yeah.
You know, to talk about Side specifically in the last game, I really want to commend him for his like leadership in the last game. You know, for the most part, you could see a lot of trash talking, as Ian mentioned at the very beginning. There was a lot of profanities being thrown around all over the field, all over the game, in the crowd and everywhere. But, Sides really stood up for his teammates, stood up on business. They were talking a lot of trash, but, he was the first one to get in there and really, even though you could say rattle up the other team, start a little bit of bickering, but he's not afraid to get out there and talk and stand up for his team. So I do want to commend him for that.
Yeah, South Florida had that fumble recovery touchdown where the I don't know his name, but he was jogging along the end zone line.
Yeah.
And then Sides came in behind him and tried to push the ball, and then he
Yeah.
got in his face. I was like, yeah, Sides, fight. We were down by like 3 touchdowns at that point. I was like,
Exactly.
you know what? Good. Oh, yeah, and that was
I
rough.
like that. He got that dog in him. That's the best way
He
to
do
put
got
it.
that dog in him.
Absolutely.
Shout out Landon Sides.
For
So yeah,
sure.
if those 3 receivers are out, you're probably going to see a big game from him because he's the number one receiver at that point. You still have Barron Tipton kind of on the edges. That receiver core is just really deep too. But I mean, losing those 3 guys is gonna hurt a lot
For sure.
if you lose all 3 of them. But yeah, that's the UTSA game. It's homecoming game. Go out and get your tickets for that because apparently it's selling out fast, which is
Oh
good.
yeah, like hotcakes.
Yeah, like hotcakes. Yeah. Going into still talking about football. So yeah, so after this USF game, there were a lot of hopes for UNT, right? Getting
Mhm.
into the playoffs. It's like, oh my gosh, there's actually a chance we could get to. I mean, if we beat USF, the path is clear. We could go undefeated. We get to the playoffs. We could win conference. Now that looks a little bit less likely, but fear not. There is still a path to the playoffs, and I'm here to break it down for you guys.
Oh wow.
Dr. Ian's in the house. All right.
Alrighty.
I did the math
Okay.
or the looking or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so the American Conference, how it's shaped up. The American Conference is probably the most dominant conference in college football right now, besides maybe the Big Ten.
Yeah.
In terms conference wise, and just how many good teams there are in the conference. You have 5 contenders. You have us, North Texas. You have South Florida, of course. You have Navy. You have Memphis, and you have Tulane. Those are basically the 5 teams that are shaping up to be competing to get to the conference championship this season. With 6 games left, those are probably going to be your big hitters. So UNT has to make sure 3 of those teams do not make it there. I guess as a preface, yeah. So UNT, now that they have 1 loss, looking at their schedule, I think their floor is about 10-2. But 10-2 being a mid-major school, you're probably not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think for them to make the playoffs, they have to make the conference championship game and win it. Because the new way the new playoff seeding works, the 5 highest ranked conference winners make the tournament, and I think UNT would be one of those 5 highest ranked if they were able to win conference.
For sure.
So they have to make sure they get there. That's the first step. So how do they do that? These 4 teams, USF, Navy, Memphis, Tulane, the ones that UNT are competing against. How do they make sure 3 of them get knocked out of the way? Well, I'm here to tell you. So Navy. We were talking about it last episode. They have a gauntlet of a schedule these last couple games. They play us hard, and that's a hard game. They play Notre Dame, they play USF, and then they play Memphis. If I were a betting man, I would assume they're going to lose at least 2 of those, if not 3. If
Yeah,
not
no,
4.
for sure.
If not 4. I mean, Navy is not a traditional football team, so losses against all 4 of those teams, I feel like, are more than likely. So that would knock them out of contention for the American Conference. They're 7-0 right now. Obviously, looks super threatening, but they have all of those just stacked at the end of the year. So I think that could safely knock them out of American Conference contention for UNT. After that, things get a little tricky.
Uh-oh.
So we have All right. So we have Tulane. UNT does not play Tulane in Memphis this year, as a preface. So Tulane's looking at their schedule. Let me pull it up. Their only theoretical loss is going to come against Memphis. Tulane, they play Army. Probably going to win that. Army hasn't been good this year. They play UTSA. They play Florida Atlantic. They play Temple. And then they play Charlotte. All of those probably wins, and then they take on Memphis. Their only theoretical loss is going to be Memphis, which would place them with a 10-2 record overall because Tulane lost to Ole Miss at the beginning of the year. So they have a 10-2 record overall with a 7-1 conference record. So in order for UNT to pass them for the championship standings, UNT would have to win out. So it's a little easier compared to the rest of these teams, but Tulane has to lose that Memphis game, and UNT has to win out for them to be able to pass them within the conference because UNT would have the higher overall record at 11-1. Whereas Tulane would sit at 10-2. Then you have Memphis and USF. USF's going to be the American Conference Championship game. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a done deal at this point. You saw how they played; they're just absolutely dominant. They play Memphis this year, right?
Yeah,
That's gonna be a fantastic.
That might
game.
be G5 game of the year.
It might be G5 game of the year. That is going to be a great game. So getting into Memphis, then probably the more realistic of the top 3 opponents for UNT to pass. Memphis would have to lose against USF. They also have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up. They play. They play UAB, they play South Florida, then they play Rice, then they play Tulane, and then they play Navy. So they also have kind of a tough schedule coming up. So they would have to lose against USF. They would, of course, have to win against Tulane because that would knock Tulane out for UNT to get to the American Conference Championship game. And then in order to keep UNT in contention for the championship game and get them there, Memphis would have to be upset by another school in the conference. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is if Memphis and UNT have the same records at the end of the season, both overall and conference, but I imagine it's probably strength of schedule. So Memphis would have to lose to someone like Navy, like Tulane. Well, not Tulane, actually. I just mentioned they can't lose to Tulane. So East Carolina, Rice, UAB, or Navy are UNT's hopes to knock Memphis out, barring that they lose to South Florida.
Right.
So Navy probably most realistic out of those, but you're not sure. So you have to basically, if you're a UNT fan, TLDR, you have to hope Memphis gets upset. You have to hope Tulane loses to Memphis. You have to expect Navy to lose 3 matches, and then pray that UNT wins out, and then plays South Florida in the championship game, and then and only then will they have to play South Florida in the championship game
Rematch.
to rematch. That would be a
Rematch.
good game to get to the college football playoff. There you have it. That was kind of long. That is the outlook of UNT football to get the playoffs. That is their path. Probably going to be playing. USF is going to be in that game. That's just going to be my prediction right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the path. Those teams are going to have to lose. That's how it's going to have to play out. I talked a lot, guys. Now you can take over. Luis, you go.
Appreciate it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think USF will definitely win out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that they won't. And that if UNT wins out, that might be the first time we've been ranked in like 60 something years.
Since 59, I think.
Yep,
Yeah,
since
yeah,
59.
which is insane. I do hope that does happen. But I do think if Memphis was to be upset, it would be by ECU. And
Oh,
I know
really?
ECU?
yes, I know that they haven't looked that good, but
I like that take. Hot
I
take.
do think that they do have the potential to pull off the upset. I mean, the only home loss this year is against a ranked 15 BYU, and they were good last year. They're good this year, even after losing their quarterback to Tulane.
And I imagine there's going to be one upset among all these games. Like, it never plays out
Absolutely.
how you
Of course.
expect it to be. So, and hopefully it doesn't happen to UNT. But, but I mean, I imagine that's going to happen. That could very well be the case. ECU could be Memphis.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, they do play Memphis at home, so at their house. And ECU, I mean, I can't lie, they're one of my favorite Group of 5 stadiums. It's huge, and I do think the student body would definitely pull through, which could make a change. And Tulane, I don't want to say they haven't been good. They've been good, but
Would you say they've been underwhelming?
yeah, they have been underwhelming. I did expect a lot more, like the Ole Miss game. I know it's ranked
Mhm.
5, but Ole Miss at home is like very spotty.
Mhm.
They I mean last week they play Washington State.
Oh,
which
yeah.
UNT
Now that
just
makes the
blew
UNT
out.
win against Washington State look a
Yes.
lot better now, too.
Definitely.
And then they only won by what was it, like 3? It was
But
way
yeah, they won by
closer.
3 points, I think.
Yeah, it was a one-score game.
It was too close for comfort.
And Tulane, just to kind of compare against UNT, they beat South Alabama by 2 points, whereas UNT beat by 14. So Tulane, yeah, like Luis was saying, kind of looks a little weaker this year.
Yes, I mean they're by no means a bad school. They're definitely one of the better Group of 5 schools for football and most other sports. But I think this year, UNT and Memphis, USF, maybe even Navy are a bit stronger than Tulane. But I do think that Ian, after the breakdown, I do think that UNT has a really good chance of making the American playoffs. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, based off the rest of the schedule, we will get a really good bowl game if we win the games that we're favored in, and we will be ranked, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a pretty good breakdown by you, Luis, as well as your entire playoff breakdown.
I
right
want to
there.
see how
Yeah,
long
that
that
was
was.
good.
That was
That
probably
was
like,
that was for a minute, but like I was keeping up with everything, and there's a lot of things to say for that, in my opinion,
There's a
right?
lot.
So the first thing I want to say is like, of all years for UNT to be like this great football team and everything, why now? Come on, everybody else is.
I know
so
everyone
good.
else is so.
Everyone else is so good this year. Of all years, we have to be good this year too. Like man, so like it's really making the American Conference look like an insane conference. I'm not gonna lie. It's like multiple teams have been ranked up at this point. UNT, in my opinion, should have been at least 25 when they got that 5th win, but that's a hotter take. But they were receiving votes for the most part. This is a good conference, and it's very competitive. So very well, we don't know who will exactly be in that game, that championship game. Even though USF, it does look like they will definitely be there. And honestly, if I'm a betting man, I would put my money on them for sure too. However, the way that college football has been playing out is so unpredictable.
It is. I mean, the college football has been crazy this year.
You just don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry, go on.
No. Yeah. OU just lost. There's been so many upsets. Penn State lost.
Oregon.
2 in a row now. They just
Yep,
lost.
2 in a row.
Yeah. Well, the Oregon-Indiana game was good. Indiana's just good. I mean, Kurt Signe is good. I'm not in Indiana. This isn't an Indiana podcast. They're just good.
Speaking
But-
of which, actually, you know that we are playing Indiana next year.
Yes, we're going to
Yes.
get into that as well. I guess, should we get into that now?
We
Are you
can.
ready?
I'm ready.
All right, bet, let's
do
go.
it.
Yeah. The UNT's conference schedule got released yesterday, so now the full slate of games is now open and available to the public. And it's Cupcake Schedule Part 2. If y'all have looked at it, I'm not gonna lie. The out of conference is actually not the out of conference games we get. We Jared Mosley hooked us up with some good games. Yeah, the Indiana game, of course. Week 1 taking on Indiana. That is a huge test. Then we take on UNLV, another pretty good mid-major school. Then Texas State, another in-state rival we lost to in the Serb Pro Responder Bowl, of course. If we have any of the same players that we have from that Serb Pro, they're going to revenge, but I don't know how that's
I
going
don't
to work
think we
out.
got anyone back.
And then Houston Christian. That's kind of the easiest game we have all year is against Houston Christian. So the out of conference definitely tough. I mean, taking on Indiana week 1, that'll be
Week 1?
that'll be fun. Week
Week
1.
one away.
Indiana is week
That's
1.
our game.
Oh,
away.
my.
Bloomington, Indiana, baby. That's going to be a fun one. Yeah. And then getting into the conference play, UNT takes on UAB, Charlotte, FAU, Rice, Navy, Tulane, Tulsa, and UTSA. So no Memphis again, no South Florida.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately.
I know. So unfortunately, we're going to have those cupcake schedule allegations again. And all of those home games are Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, UAB, and Rice, who are all in the midst of like a first-year head coach or a transitioning head coach, and they're all ranked towards the bottom of the conference. So not good this year. We'll see how they are next year. Obviously, when it comes to mid-majors, you don't know. You can't say what the team's going to look like next year because the transfer portal is crazy. But just looking at it right now, that's a pretty nice slate of home games for UNT. And then on the road, of course, they take on Navy. But with the military schools, you never know how they're going to look from year to year. It just depends. Tulane, of course, might be good again, but they have kind of declined from where they were last year slightly. Maybe they'll decline again. Take on Tulsa and then UTSA again on the road. UTSA kind of looks like that conference rival game, the one that gets scheduled every year because
Third year in a row for sure.
Third year in a row, yeah. Conferences always try to schedule one consistent game, which is kind of the rivalry game, basically, and that seems to be us against UTSA, which it definitely is, and they've had our number the last 4 years. But yeah, we talked about UTSA game already. Let's not get back into that. But yeah, let's schedule. Super early predictions, Luis. Kind of what do you think about it?
I do think, I think we'll get a bowl game. You know, like Indiana, definitely a hard opponent. I mean, rank.
Just be real, bro. Let's be real. It's Indiana.
We're gonna get.
They just beat Oregon. Like, let's
Yeah.
be for real here.
I mean, they are losing a bunch of starters. You know, transfer portal, very unpredictable for what the team might look like next year for any team in college. But if we are able to keep our current roster, I do think that we might have a chance because a lot of Indiana's key players are headed out, whether it be transfer portal, which to be determined.
I mean, if Indiana can
But
secure
also
some
graduate.
NIL funding, then they can probably keep them.
Absolutely, but I mean, they're really good this year. I think personally this year that they will make the Big Ten championship.
Game, yeah.
They might even win.
Their offense is just so good.
Absolutely.
They're just a good team.
You know, nobody really predicted it for them to be that good at this point of the season.
I mean, I saw the stat in their game. They had like a 0.3 winning percentage for like 50 years. Indiana football has been poverty since its inception.
Absolutely.
And then Kurt Signetti got there, and now they're a powerhouse. It's probably one of the most insane turnarounds in college sports ever.
oh yeah,
The last 2 years, they've been an absolute powerhouse after getting an average of 3 wins per season. It's just been absolutely insane.
it's kind of crazy to see them get to this point and honestly playing.
We're not an
against
Indiana
UNT.
podcast. Ray, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there. What are your predictions for the UNT schedule?
All good. The reason I was going to get into that though was because as good as they have been, I feel like UNT has a great chance at beating them next year.
Oh, hot
considering
take.
how
Okay.
this team has been playing and how we've been consistent throughout and getting these upset wins. I think we have a chance. I genuinely think
wild
we
take.
have
I
a
like
good
that.
chance. And I really hope we do. If we can maintain the roster that we have, or at least for the most part, and hope that not everybody leaves due to the transfer portal and the NIL money they'll get elsewhere, I think we have a chance. I'm being completely honest. I feel like we just need to be given that opportunity, and it's right in front of us now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
The thing about this UNT, we've been talking about we're going to have an episode on kind of just strictly on the transfer portal. We haven't yet. I need to do that. Next week. But yeah, you never know what it's going to look like year to year. This entire UNT team could be gone, or they could come back. Depending on how this season goes, you could bring Morris back another year. You could bring back all his players. Mestamaker would come back another year, which would be huge. I mean, you'd bring back a lot of your receivers. You'd bring back Caleb Hawkins, hopefully. We'll see. You probably, you'd revamp through the transfer portal because UNT has been able to do that the last 2 seasons. So if they're able to bring back those key pieces, then it looks pretty good for them in the conference next year. I mean, they could be an American powerhouse for a couple years if they're able to keep the coaching staff, the players they have right now.
No, absolutely. It's been a pretty good turnaround for this organization in the most part. UNT, I feel like the last time they had a really off the chart season was back in 2018 after they got that win against Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And
Insane win.
ever since then, it's kind of just been mediocre, I guess. That's how I would like to describe it for the most part. But then Eric Morris has gotten here, and ever since, it's just been, consistently improving upon what he's built. And look at where we're at now, And so who knows what, sky's the limit is what I like to say. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
So literally have no predictions for you guys on what next year could be because you have no clue what the team's going to look like. But just going off of what we are this season, the schedule looks pretty good, and that's all we can really say for right now.
For sure.
Yeah, that's football for you guys. We talked a lot about what's the time on that, Luis?
Great question.
40 minutes. Oh, yeah, that's what I like to
that's
see.
beautiful.
All right, we're going to move into our quote of the week segment. Putting up a little early here, but because it has to do with UNT football. And I feel I can talk about it now because this person has been removed from his roster. So UNT running back Shane Porter, I think he was a junior last year or a redshirt senior. He transferred to Sam Houston after the season. I'm not quite sure the logistics behind that, but you probably saw Mackenzie McGill's uprising. It was like, nah, I'm going to head out. I don't know, maybe some NIL money, more playing time. But that playing time did not come to fruition. This season, he's had 2 carries for -1 yards. And then he recently posted on his Snapchat, it was a picture of him, like his transfer picture. He's in a Sam Houston jersey surrounded by their trophies, like the players announce when they transfer. And then he put, worst decision ever. That's our quote of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Needless to say, he is not on that roster anymore, and he probably will not be playing football again. That's just absolutely wild. I saw that on X, and I was like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Got to feel bad for the guy considering how he was great for UNT when he was with us last
too.
year.
He was good.
He was a dog. I was hoping we would keep him, but we lost him, unfortunately. And I was like, hey, that Sam Houston team last year, if I were to predict what they would do next year, I would assume it would be great. And by next year, I mean the current year that has happened. But, they've been far from good. I don't think they have a win yet, I'm pretty sure still, right?
Let me fact check you on that.
Go ahead and fact check me on that. But I think for the most part, it's just been a poor decision.
Yeah,
on
they're
his part.
0-6.
Yep, 0-6 right now. And
Are they for real playing right now?
I didn't know
they are playing as we are recording, ladies
On
and
a
gentlemen.
Wednesday? On a Wednesday?
nothing
Ray,
like some-
continue.
Nothing like some Wednesday college football, but for the most part, it's just you could tell it's been a bad decision on his part. I feel like we should have kept him. He should have stayed. Who knows what could have happened, but unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
They play in 1 hour against UTEP.
Okay, got you.
That makes sense. Sam Houston versus UTEP, probably a Wednesday game anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that is our quote of the week. Really funny. There wasn't much from the coaches this week, and I was like, you just have to put that in there in case y'all didn't know.
I think it was worth mentioning.
Funny, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now we're going to get into some of the other sports. So we got soccer, volleyball, and like 5 seconds of men's golf coming up. Soccer is in a crucial part of their season. 4 games left to play. Their last 2 matches, they lost against number 8 Memphis. Obviously, kind of expected there. They went up 1-0. Claire Niedermeyer got a goal in like the 13th minute, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, crap. We might have a chance here to beat number 8 Memphis. That would be absolutely huge for us. Memphis came back, won 4-1 eventually. Kind of expected there a little bit. The goal, however, was our first goal against a ranked team on the road since 2015.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Little fun fact there. Yeah, so good positives there. That's just kind of been the story of the soccer team. We have all these little records set, but we're still, what's our record? 5-9-1.
Yeah.
It's just been a little disappointing. And I was kind of filling them in on all that. But yes, then the Mean Green took on Tulsa. Their following game, they tied them. Were able to come out with a draw, so they got a point there for conference standings. Have not lost to Tulsa since 1995, baby. Kept that streak up. We were down 1-0, came
Love
back,
it.
tied it up 1-1. Haven't lost to them since 1995, and we will continue to not lose.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, if y'all didn't know, so soccer standings, it works a little differently than football. It's not by record, it's by points. So for a win, you get 3 points. For a draw, you get 1 point. For a loss, you get 0, of course. So it is by the rankings are by a point system. So currently, the standings are, if it'll load. Yeah, the standings. North Texas is currently second to last in the conference behind Temple, who has not won a conference game yet. Poor Temple. They're just sitting down there at 0
Yeah.
points. North Texas is second to last. They are 1-4-1 in conference, 5-9-2 overall. So they have 4 points because they have that 1 win and that 1 tie. These upcoming next 4 games are incredibly crucial. They are playing the 3 teams that are ahead of them and Rice. They play, so Florida Atlantic sits above them, then UAB, and then South Florida. And the way the American Conference soccer tournament goes is the top 8 seeds make it. There's 11 teams total. The top 8 seeds make it. So North Texas currently sits at 10, so they need to pass 2 teams ahead of them to get to that 8th seed and get into the conference tournament. What do you know? The 2 teams ahead of them, they play in these next 2 games. And the team ahead of that, in the 7th seed, they play South Florida, UAB, and Florida Atlantic, who are the 7, 8, and 9 seeds currently. Absolute, what's the phrase? victim of circumstance. Absolute victim of
That's a
circumstance.
good way to
there.
put it, honestly.
Victim of circumstance. I mean, Ray was telling me right now. I'll kind of let him take it over. That's just absolutely wild. That's kind of how the schedule ended up.
No, absolutely. And the thing is, like, you never really know who you need to play at the end of the season. For the most part, it comes down to like, oh, I really hope this team loses, this team wins, and this team loses, so then we make the playoffs.
Yeah,
but
it's usually just hoping.
it's
like,
just hoping.
oh, they have
we
to
can't
lose
do
for-
anything.
yeah.
But our fate is still in our own hands because we play all of those teams that we need to because they're just right. Like, one seat above us, another seat above us, and then another seat above us for like the schedule. And if we win at least 2 of these 3 games, I think we have a really good chance at becoming the 8th seed and making this playoffs. However, the thing is about this team, they're only averaging 1.3 goals per game, which is like 0.3 under the average for the conference at the moment. And as Ian was saying earlier, and I believe before this we were talking about this, he was saying we take a lot of shots, which is great, but we need to start getting them in. And until we start making some shots, we are just going to be stuck at this point of the table. And so, honestly, the only way to secure that spot in the playoffs and have a chance at this, maybe a championship, quite the underdog story for us if we get to that point. But we would have to just figure out how to score more, and we really need to win all 3 of these games to secure our odds.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, anything is possible at the end of the day. Rice, they're, I believe, number 3 in the conference.
Yeah, third. They've been good this year. 3-1 and 3 in conference so far.
Yes, they're a really good team, but we play them at home. So I do maybe an upset, There's a potential.
Wishful thinking, but hopefully.
Hope
That would be nice.
But, I mean, after that, it's just South Florida, Florida Atlantic, UAB, all
the bottom
above us,
4, the
yeah.
battle of the not the last 4, but the second to last 4 seeds.
Battle of the mid.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, right? The battle of the mid there. I mean, yeah, kind of as you put it. I mean, like on paper, all the people at the top are like, "Oh, look at them battling at the bottom." But like, that's such a scrum because those 3 teams are going to be fighting. I mean, it's tense. Those 3 teams are going to be fighting and vying for a playoff spot. Yeah, between South Florida, UAB, Florida Atlantic, Texas, 2 of them will make it, 2 of them will not, and they all play each other in these last 4 games. Like Luis was saying, UT takes on Rice first, then they go South Florida, Florida Atlantic, and UAB to close out the season. So all 3 of those last 3 games are the most important for UNC this season. Like Ray was saying, we still control our own destiny, which I think at this point in the season, just the way that the season has gone, is a blessing. A blessing from the Lord. But I mean, the fact that you're still in that position and you can still get to the tournament is nice.
It's kind of mind blowing. I'm not gonna
lie. It's been as soccer wraps up, an ode to soccer, if you will. It's been rough. John Hedlund's been here for 30 years. It hasn't been a fantastic season so far. We have the players. We've been talking about it all of these episodes. We have the players. We have the talent. We're putting up the shots. Have a good goalie in Alina Arnath, but unfortunately they're just not falling. Maybe that's just the soccer gods telling us something is up. Maybe a change of scenery needs to come. But you know what? We're not out of it yet, and we can still get that 8th seed. So I believe in this women's soccer team. I think they might luck in these last 4 games, and if we get that 8th seed, holy cow, what a comeback story might that be?
Absolutely. As Kevin Garnett and Luis 5 minutes ago once said, anything's possible. So, we can make that comeback. Maybe we'll get to that point. Who knows? But at this very moment, we need to start performing better than what we have been.
Yeah, that Rice game on Sunday. They sit at 3rd in the conference. Very solid team. They're led by Leah Chansey, who ranks 1st in the American in assists and 2nd in points, and she won the AAC Offensive Player of the Year last year in women's soccer. So
nice.
not a easy matchup at all for UNT in that home game. But I mean, all the more reason if they can get an upset against Rice and just get off on the right foot point wise, they would leap ahead of, well, depending on how the other games play out. They would leap into contention with South Florida and UAB, kind of at the top and get into that 7 to 8 range if they're able to pull off the upset win.
Love that the point system gives us 3 points right there, so it does just make us go
that
right
point
up
system's
there.
been interesting. I kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, in the Premier League and a big other big soccer leagues, they go by this system. And so that's why I believe UNT as well as college soccer goes by this. And so it makes for some interesting things. Teams with slightly worse records, like, percentage-wise, can still have a great chance just because of the table. Wins are valued a lot more in this league.
Thank you, Ray, for that soccer input. That was actually really good because I
appreciate
would
it.
not have been able to tell you that. I'm not a soccer fan. I don't watch the European leagues.
Either.
But yeah, me neither.
I'm a football. That's me, not
The real football.
real football. American.
But yeah, if y'all haven't gone out to a soccer game or just tune into one, these last 4 games are going to be intense and going to be exciting. Definitely tune in if you can.
You're going to see some good soccer right there. Sorry to interrupt there.
No. Yes, like Ray said, good soccer. All right, getting into volleyball. They won both of their games against UTSA and Tulane last week. That UTSA game was going on when we were filming last episode and we were checking. They came back and won. They were down 1-0 set-wise, and they came back and won, then beat Tulane again on Friday it was, so they're back on track in conference. They now sit at 3-3 conference-wise and sit right in the middle of the conference standings. They played in a sold-out crowd at home against UTSA, a total of 480. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Quite the crowd.
Quite the crowd. Hey, but like we've been saying, that UNT Volleyball Center, when it gets loud, it gets loud. It's a small but intense environment. Against UTSA, they had that rough first set, and then they had the offensive errors, which had kind of been a problem for them those last couple games. But they rebounded and then swept the next 3 sets to win the game. Middle blocker Addison Achilles has been stepping up for them recently. She had a career-high 8 blocks against UTSA. She's been having some good games as of late. And then in Tulane, they won in 5 sets. It was a great game for UNT. Ryan Vick came back. She has been injured for them, as we've been mentioning a lot of these episodes. A crucial middle blocker for them. She came back, was able to play all 5 sets against Tulane. And then our Spotlight Athlete of the Week, setter Alexa Washington. She recorded the first triple-double in program history. I don't know.
Wow.
I know.
Which
That's
is
impressive,
insane.
right? I saw that. And a triple-double in volleyball, I think, is way harder than in basketball.
I would
'Cause-
assume so. You don't see
Because
that
all the
often.
positions are so limited by just what their roles are. Because you have a strictly offensive position, and they're only going to get kills, really. And then you have a blocking position, they're only going to rack up blocks. And then you have setters, they're only going to rack up assists. Defensive people, digs. Like, literally, you have positions that are set to basically rack up a certain kind of stat. So for someone to get double digits in 3 different kinds of stats in a game is absolutely nuts. She had 15 kills, 26 assists, and 24 digs.
Wow.
And as a setter, getting 15 kills is like unheard of in volleyball. She already has 159 attacks this year, which is for you guys. Is just like when you go up to try to hit a ball over the net.
Yeah.
And she only had 29 attacks last year. She already has 159 this year. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
That's a
gone up
great
on that point.
improvement.
I know
Yeah.
I'm lecturing them in volleyball right now.
I need to get my
But-
volleyball knowledge up a little bit.
Yeah, that's just a testament to head coach Dave Fleming and just the new scheme he's put into to this team. You know, he's utilizing his setters for offense. Very non-traditional, but it's working for them. Alexa Washington just had the first triple-double in program history. Shout out to her. Great game.
Yeah.
Great last week for that volleyball team. Yeah, now they're sitting 3. During that game, also, they set or matched season-high marks in kills. They had 69 kills. They had 213 attacks, 63 assists, and 104 digs. They're riding high right now. They have a lot of confidence. It was a good last week for them. They take on ECU on Friday night. I'm going to go to that game.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, no, the environment is fun. Y'all should definitely get out there. Like it's literally like a middle school gym. Like it's like 5 rows of bleachers, but when it's
Yeah.
packed, like the band's there too. So when it's packed, like it is packed and it's loud. And
course.
volleyball is super intense to where like if there's a spike, like everyone is yells. It's like like
You
hey, it's
know.
super loud. It like literally like in terms of scaling down, it's like the same as like the sold out DAQ.
On the middle school gym thing that you did mention, actually, I do have one thing to mention about the volleyball team, which is kind of a cool advantage that I don't know if you guys know about, but I think it's worth mentioning too. You know, UNT's volleyball stadium, they don't play in the basketball arena or anything. They have their own little center for that. And the cool thing about it is that most schools would be playing in their basketball gym, and they have really high ceilings. They can make the ball go as high as they want because UNT's isn't that high compared to the other ones. Other schools, sometimes they be hitting it at the top, you know, that ends the play. They get the point, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just a really cool home field advantage. It kind of throws the other team off. And UNT
No,
knows how to
it
play
does.
with that. And because of that, they really have been thriving. You could just see by the stats how it's been going for them.
Yeah, when I was covering volleyball last year, yeah, you'd see like 5 balls go up into the rafters, and it's really
Yep.
funny because it'll just like bounce around. It's like this is D1 sports, and we got volleyballs bouncing around the rafters, and then calling out points. But yeah, women's volleyball. Now, what are they now? 13 and someone fact check that for me. Who could pull up the fastest?
They are 13-5.
Yeah, 13-5. I was
That's a
going to
great
say
record.
that. I knew it off the dome. 13-5. But
Real
yes,
fan right here.
yeah, 13-5. Only had 10 wins all of last year. They're now 13-5 after being complete underdogs to start the year. So just a continuously great season. Was kind of nervous once I got into conference and they started out 1-3, but now they're 3-3, riding a tidal wave, taking on ECU this Friday. ECU has 3 players in the top 10 in conference hitting percentage, so they spread the ball around a lot. They get that offensive attacks spread around. But otherwise, they're kind of mid in every team stat. They sit at around 7 and 8, so they sit around that area in the conference too. So a good matchup for UNT. Hopefully we get that win. I'll be there. It'll be a fun environment.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's volleyball. We'll touch on men's golf for about 10 seconds here. Let me go. They played in their final tournament in the fall, just kind of crazy. Imagine being on the golf team. You'd be like, oh yeah, I compete in like a D1 golf team, and then
So you kinda
you're
fired
done in
them.
like October. You have like 3 tournaments, and you're done in October. Yeah, sophomore Blake Keane was able to kind of break out of a slump he's had in the fall. He finished 3rd overall individually in the entire tournament with a 12 under par, which is the highest total of his career.
Wow.
And then, the team earned their best finish of the fall. They tied 4th with a 10 under par. So a really strong outing for the team to end the year. Blake Keane, a couple of the guys we've been talking about, Alex Huang, and then freshman Mitchell Meyer, they've all kind of led the men's golf team to start the year. They've each had a top 10 finish in the team played 4 tournaments. They each had a top 10 finish in one of those tournaments. So only one tournament where the men's golf team did not have a top 10 finisher. So a good semester for them. Now they take a very long extended break. Next tournament is in February. So say goodbye to these names: Blake Keane, Alex Huang, Mitchell Meyer. We'll talk about them for a few months.
My goats.
Yeah, a good finish for that men's golf team. And yeah, that is all the sports for this week for UNT. Those big games coming up, of course. Football, UTSA. Talk about that, guys. It was a good time. Thank you guys for coming on.
I
Thanks for
appreciate you
having us.
having me. Honestly, it was a great time. Love it.
Oh yeah, I had a lot more fun than I thought it would.
You thought you would? Wow, bro.
Bro's
mean-
dissing the podcast.
Yeah, this podcast is great. Greatest podcast I've heard. Joe Rogan needs to take notes from this podcast. You gotta have the best host here. Ian. I'm not sure how to say your last name. I can't lie.
Still, bro, I've known you for like a year.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, me too, bro.
Pfaffenberger, write it down. Right?
All right.
Pfaffenberger.
Pfaffenberger.
Take out the P.
Gotcha,
P is
gotcha.
silent. Yeah.
That's what throws us off.
Yeah, that's your last week in UNT Sports, and that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the show. Luis and Ray, thank you for coming on once again, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Dude.